Mission of Fit in 10. It is day 61. Day 61. We are in the single digits. It feels like I was just saying we were into the teens. Now we're the single digits. We still have about 13% of this challenge to go. 13%, that's 13% more change you can make, right? So every day counts. Remember this. You might think, it's 9 days. It's like, what am I going to see in 9 days? 13% more difference. That's a lot, okay? So every day counts. Remember this, okay? I've seen a lot of people losing anywhere from 2 up to 8 ounces of fat per day, okay, when I average it out. So think about that, right? Okay, so more on that exit strategy. Some key reminders here. When it comes to diet, I'm going to recommend that you strive for real whole food. Try to get a protein-strong food. Protein-strong includes a complete protein. Protein-strong, complete protein food every single meal. Okay, this is going to really help you because this is the most satiating macronutrient. This is going to help stabilize blood sugar levels. This is going to help keep you more alert. This is going to support your lean body mass. All these things that are going to help you to keep the weight off, or are going to help you to prevent from eating more. Okay, watch your total calorie intake as well. That's the third thing. Now, if you're eating real whole food, that shouldn't be an issue, right? Because real whole food, typically speaking, is very calorie sparse. When it comes to exercise, weight train 3 times per week. Get in 3 sessions of cardio, but this can vary, okay? Anything from a nice walk to up to a sprint, okay? In that range. It doesn't have, you don't have to be doing intervals or whatever. You can if you want, but you don't have to. But just get in some level of cardiovascular exercise. Also, I'm going to recommend that you try to get about 7,000 steps per day. That's a little bit over, and this is assuming you didn't do any other walking, that's a little bit over an hour walking per day, okay? Okay, more of your feedback here. So I talked a little bit about muscle mass and the reading from the scan, and this is something that I used to include but decided not to, just because there is that variability, right? Your muscle mass this is not the best analogy, but you can kind of think of your muscle mass, or not your muscle mass, but yes, your muscle mass. You could think of your muscle mass as your gas tank plus gas in there, and as you drive around and you fill up, it goes up and down, okay? Your gas tank doesn't necessarily change, right? But the mass of the gas tank does, because gas is coming in and out. It's the same thing with muscle mass, right? You've got your tissue, and then you've got the water in the tissue. This water will go up and down. Why does the water go up and down? Because this is how glycogen is stored in the muscle. This is stored energy. This is what the body will go to largely when it needs energy. It's going to go to glycogen from the liver and the muscles, and this goes up and down, okay, just like a gas tank. Now, the only difference with the analogy here would be like, as you're weight training, your gas tank is actually, you're adding a little bit of a bigger gas tank. You can think of it that way, right? So as your gas tank gets bigger, you can add in more gas. It would have the capacity to hold more gas. Same thing with the same analogy with the muscle mass. If you gain more muscle tissue, you're going to have a greater capacity for glycogen, which, by the way, just on a side note, this is a great reservoir for sugar. That is, the more muscle mass you have, the better capacity you have for managing sugar intake. Okay, so in theory, the more muscle you have, the greater capacity you have for storing sugar. Okay, so less likely to store it as body fat. Also, muscle it's like, well, this is an example of a partitioning effect of muscle. Muscle is also very, very, well, I guess I'm going down on a different topic right now, but just a reminder to you, right? This is, aside from our organs and our brain, right? This is the, this uses up the most energy per day, right? This is the biggest contributor to our metabolic rate, okay? Lean body mass in general. Okay, more of your feedback here. So how can I add C gains in this area? So muscle mass. So if you are weight training, especially if you're new to weight training, you're going to see an increase in muscle mass. There's no two ways about it. Even if your scan says your muscle mass is down, you're gaining muscle mass. For sure you are, okay? So, but how can you see more gains if you want to? Well, in this case, you know, you'd be doing the I want to say correct training. It doesn't really help you. You would be training with weights where you're failing in that 6 to 20 rep range. 20 is a bit much, so let's maybe take that out. So you can still build muscle in that rep range. Let's just be a little bit more clear here. Let's say 6 to 12 reps. Okay, you can build muscle in those higher reps, but generally speaking, you're not really going to hit your threshold. Okay, so the advantage of training in those lower reps is that, you know, if you can only do 6 with a certain weight, your chances of actually so whatever your 6 rep max is, your chances of actually doing 7 are, you know, unlikely, right? But if you're doing like 20 reps, could you do 21? Probably could do 21. Could you do 22? Probably could do 22. Right? So, but the point here is we want to be using those lower reps so that we work on targeting all the fibers of the muscle. Okay? So if I get out of my chair and I just start walking right now, or I move my hands around, I do this, I'm using some muscles in my fiber. I'm using some muscle fibers here in, let's say, my bicep by doing this, but I'm really using those lower oxidative. I'm not going through all the fibers to my top end fast twitch fibers to do that kind of movement. Only when you're doing explosive all out effort are you going to work all the fibers of the muscle. Okay? And this is important when you're trying to gain more muscle mass. Also important here is your total calorie intake and your protein intake. Okay? So you could have enough protein but not enough calories. That's not going to work out too well for you, because protein will be used as energy. So you need a sufficient amount of protein plus a sufficient amount of calories. Okay? So at this point in the challenge, for this person, they've done this challenge a couple times now. This might be a little bit harder for you, but certainly not impossible. Okay? Could you still gain muscle at this point with the calories that you have and the training that you're doing? Because this person's actually doing lift camps. They're following the lift camps online. Yes, I think you could. Okay? But again, I know this person, and don't leave too much in the tank. So if you're training up to like a true 90%, okay, so let's just say you could do 6 reps with something, but you're stopping at 5. All right, yeah, you're still going to really, be able to tax the muscle enough to see change. But if you could do 6, so your max is 6, but you're stopping at, let's just say, I'm just using this as an example, but you're stopping at 3, you're not taxing the muscle enough. You're not really tapping into that to that level of failure, right? That we need to really produce more stimulus on the muscle for it to grow. Okay. Name something specific you can improve on for the following week. Increase cardio. Increase cardio and resistance training to 4 times per week for higher calories burned. Okay, yeah, for sure. Any movement. So you don't have to think about this as I'm going to burn calories by doing extra exercise. You can think of this as I'm going to burn more calories just by doing more movement. So even if you just get out and walk, you're quite right here by doing hard training sessions and doing cardio. What we call your time dedicated to cardio. You're going to burn more calories because you're obviously doing your time is dedicated towards burning energy, essentially, right? Or resistance training, your time is dedicated towards burning energy / building muscle, or providing stimulus to build muscle. But don't negate just your general, gardening or just going for a nice casual walk. Like I said, parking at the end of a parking lot. All these things, and then having to walk that distance, all these things are going to make a difference, okay? Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? Okay, actually, let me just add one more thing to this. I think I've already talked about this before, but when people go on these these crazy low-calorie diets, their non-exercise activity actually lowers, right? So they feel so drained because they're not getting enough calories that they actually reduce unknowingly. They'll reduce their non-exercise activity. So they'll lie around a lot. They won't do as much movement. Sort of the same effect that heat has on you, almost. And so you kind of just end up spinning your wheels. Like you're eating less, but then you're just doing less movement. So you're just like, your energy intake's less, but then your energy output's less, and it's just like, you might as well eat more. Okay, again, that reasonable amount, and then keep all that exercise in plus that non-exercise activity. Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? I'm not feeling sore after resistance Zoom workouts. Oh, I'm at 10:30 already. Okay, before in the in-person studio classes, I frequently felt sore the next day. I'm not feeling sore after my workouts now. Is it because I'm not lifting heavy enough? Okay, this is interesting because we kind of just touched upon this. Does soreness have anything to do with how good or effective a workout is? Can I still build skeletal muscle mass without the soreness, or should I aim to lift the heaviest to my muscles fatigue max out every set? Not every set, but let's just use the lift camps for example. Well, let's say we say 5 sets of 8. By that 5th set, yes, you should be trying to max out very close to that 8 rep max, true 8 rep max, okay? So there's a difference between it being hard at 8 and being failure, right? If you can do 12 with a weight, 8 reps is still gonna feel hard. Even 6 will feel hard, okay? But going right to that failure or close to that, being within 90% of that failure, this is what we need, okay? Now, do you have to be sore? Do you have to be sore in order to know that you had an effective workout? No, I don't believe that's the case. A lot of soreness is just metabolic byproduct in the muscle that's created from the training. And listen, we know this by just like, go for a hike or something, right? So you're out hiking for 4 or 5 hours. The next day you might feel that you're a bit sore. Are you building muscle from hiking? Probably not, okay? Unless you went from a completely, from not doing any kind of activity to all of a sudden hiking, right? All right. Name something specific you can improve on for the following week. No, actually I'm not. I'm at 12 minutes here, so I gotta get to the message of the day. Okay, message of the day. I love this one. It's very, very true, and I'm gonna kind of add something else to this that's more applicable to the challenge. But it is not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. Rather, they grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams. Okay, it is not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. Rather, they grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams. This is very, very true with people as they age and exercise. That is, I know a lot of people that are, for example, in their mid-30s, okay, or like 40s or mid-40s, and they're like, yeah, it's this aging thing. It's really, I'm out of shape because of the aging. It's like, no, it's like you just let a lot of time go by and you didn't do anything. All right, so if you were a kid and you didn't do anything and you let a lot of time go by and you probably had a lot of lifestyle habits that you have, you're probably gonna feel the same way, okay? Maybe not quite as much, but definitely gonna feel that way. So really it's about, generally speaking with people, once they get out of their teens, into their 20s, the responsibility levels go up and then focus on self goes down, right? Or at least to the point where you just don't have as much free time, so you're just typically not as active, right? Also, life tends to be more stressful, right? As you get into your 20s, reality sets in, maybe not your 20s, maybe your 30s, maybe not your 30s, maybe your 40s or 50s. Reality eventually sets in and life can become a little more stressful, right? So, a reminder for you to set aside time for the rest of your life to take care of yourself, but also know that, 30, 40, 50, 60, no, you're not old, okay? You still have a lot of time, and take that time to make whatever dreams you have come a reality. And maybe your dream is to get in better shape, okay? That's not a bad dream to have, okay? But again, it's getting in shape is, in my opinion, is really far from a dream. Maybe it's easy for me to say this, but again, you just put in these habits and you just repeat them, and that's it, right? That's all you have to do. It's just putting in that time. Again, 4.5 hours per week would be plenty. 3 weight training sessions, 3 cardios, that's it. Okay? Watch your food intake. All right, so I'll say it one more time. It is not true that people stop pursuing their dreams because they grow old. Rather, they grow old because they stop pursuing their dreams. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for love, God, give some gratitude. I'll talk to you all very soon. See you guys.